Shane Warne first played Test match cricket somewhat by default. He had not shown anything special, and spin bowlers at the time were generally held in low regard.
The great bowlers of the 1980s were fast bowlers or swing bowlers. The West Indians, Lily Thompson, Imran Khan, and others who supported him. Wasim Akram came through, Waqar Younis. So it was really all fast bowlers until this fellow comes along and bamboozles batsmen with his spin and his guile, and he brought spin back into international cricket and gave us back really what is an essential part of the game.
He's a good player. What a glorious late cut.
On his debut against India in 1992, Warne struggled. His match figures were 1 for 150.
He had great technique, and you could see that. He had put unbelievable revs on the ball. The revolutions was, you can hear the ball go through the air, amazing. But he didn't bowl well to India of all the guys, you know, because they're breastfed on spinners, and Ravi Shastri particularly took a liking to him. And I remember he got out for 206, I think it was, and I caught one deep extra cover as his first Test wicket. And I gave him the ball, and he's sort of relieved I've got a wicket. You know, I said, well done, you've got an average now of 150. He wasn't happy with that.
It's in the air, Jones under it, that's the end of the innings. Shane Warne gets his first Test wicket.
Well, he has to be one of the great spinners of all time, and you could see it coming. You know, I remember picking up the Man of the Match award in that Test match in Sydney, and as I was going into the dressing room, there were a few Aussies already in there, and I saw Warne pass by outside the dressing room, and I stopped. I gave him a tap on his shoulder, and I said, young man, you'll bowl a lot worse than this and pick up 5 or 6. And the reason why I said it was the control he showed right through that Test match.
The breakthrough match for Warne was the first Test of the 1992 series against Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka. The hosts were left needing 181 to win and were 7 for 150 when Alan Border threw the ball to Warne. He took 3 for none, and Australia won by 16 runs.
Then Alan Border threw in the ball, and this guy's got figures of 1 for 250 now. And then Alan Border said to me, win me the game against Sri Lanka. And he got 3 for 14. Game, set and match. A superstar was born.
Back home in Australia, Warne was overlooked for the first Test of the 1992-93 series against the West Indies. Recalled for the second, he bowled Australia to victory.
People talk about the Gadding ball as being a critical moment in Shane Warne's career. But in actual fact, 6 months before that, he bowled a flipper at Richie Richardson at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, which bowled him and set Australia on the way to victory. And it came in a Test where Warne took 7 for 52, and for the first time spun Australia to victory in a home Test match in front of his own fans. That, I think, was the ball that showed to Australian cricket fans that he was a great talent.
Goodness me, he's on his way. It's all over for Ken Rutherford. That really spun across him, it took the edge.
Later the same season, Warne bowled brilliantly on a short tour of New Zealand. The Kiwi batsman struggled against his quality leg spin. Warne's confidence and reputation grew match by match.
Oh, he's gone!
Warne took 34 wickets on the Ashes series of 1993, which began with that famous ball to Mike Gatting.
I can remember the lead up to that was we were playing against Worcester, and Graham Hick was playing for Worcester, and he was going to be in the England side. And I gave Warne pretty strict instructions not to sort of give too much away. You know, bowl by all means and get into a bit of a rhythm, but don't give too much away. And of course, Hickey, you know, was in pretty good form in those days, and he took to our bowling generally, but Warne in particular, and hit quite a few sixes and ended up making a big 100. And Warne was sort of a bit dejected and upset about all this, but I said, you know, it doesn't really matter, mate, this is just warm-up. Wait for the real event that starts, you know, next week up in Manchester.
In 1994, the Cricketer's Bible, Wisden, named Warne as one of its Players of the Year. In Australia, he had the media profile of a pop star.
There's no question that the game needs characters. Cricket is competing on a global level against all sorts of sports for sponsorship dollars and indeed the public's interest. So in order for the game to thrive, it really does require people who can capture the public imagination, and there's no question that Shane has been able to do that.
In the main, Warne has responded well to the pressures of expectation and media scrutiny. There have, however, been some unsavoury moments.
He's a character, there's a larrikin element in Shane, and I think anyone that succeeds at that level has to have that sort of larrikin element. If you haven't got a sense of humour and a sense of fun, you're not going to survive in that cauldron for a long period of time and not come out of it reasonably sane. And Shane's got that. You know, he's got the larrikin element, he's got the sense of fun. I mean, from time to time, he's gone over the top. But by and large, he's been good for Australian cricket. And the thing that I like about the bloke is that he hasn't changed very much.
A highly controversial figure through life, you know, always very opinionated, rubbed people up the wrong way, controversy prone. You know, there was, you know, incidents with bookmakers and bans for illegal diuretics. All these things, I think, you know, rubbed, you know, a fair portion of the cricket watching public up the wrong way. But I think those who could separate Warne the bowler from Warne the man probably didn't have that bigger issue. I think those who saw it as a bit of as a, you know, all encasing package, perhaps, you know, this is where the love-hate divide, you know, starts to come in.